Level 1, IQ 82.
The teacher hands back the test and doesn't make eye contact. You already know before you turn it over. You always know now.
62%.
Below the line again.
She pulls you aside after class, not unkind, just careful, the way people are careful with something they think might break. She says the word support instead of the word behind. You nod.
You've learned the vocabulary of being managed.
At home, your mother reads the letter twice.
Recommended evaluation.
Possible learning difference.
She doesn't cry in front of you.
She waits until you're in your room. You hear it through the wall anyway.
You apply for a job stocking shelves at 17.
The manager asks 3 questions and watches your face longer than the questions require.
He's not cruel. He's assessing.
You get the job. You don't get the register.
Someone else counts the draw.
Your friends make plans using words you nod along to and look up later. Not because you're incurious.
Because curiosity
Costs more when every new thing takes you twice as long to hold onto.
You take an IQ test once, out of curiosity, on a website that promises results in 10 minutes.
It confirms what the letters already implied. You close the laptop. You don't take it again. People don't say the word slow to your face anymore. They just talk slower. They repeat things without being asked to. They finish your sentences and call it help. The world isn't cruel to you at 80. The world is patient with you.
And patience, when you didn't ask for it,
feels a lot like being erased. Level 2, IQ 90.
You graduate, not with honors, not with anything anyone photographs.
You get a diploma and a job at a warehouse where the manager likes you because you show. Nobody would call you incapable.
But you notice the way conversations move past you sometimes, half a step ahead, and you catch up a beat late, laughing at the joke after everyone else already has.
You apply for a promotion, shift-led. You've been there for years. The guy who gets it has been there for months. He's sharper in the interview, faster with numbers.
You tell yourself it's fine. You tell yourself that twice, which is how you know it isn't.
You start reading self-improvement books at night, not because someone told you to,
because some quiet Matthew
never wrote down keeps whispering that you're one step behind.
A door you can't quite see. Nobody insults you at 90. Nobody has to.
The gap announces itself in small denials, mild ones. The kind you can't complain about because nothing was technically said.
Level 3, IQ 100.
You are, statistically, the middle of everyone who has ever lived.
Nobody tells you this because nobody thinks about you enough to say it. You get a normal job,
a normal apartment. Nobody assesses you anymore because there's nothing left to assess. You are the baseline everyone else is measured against, and baselines don't get phone calls. You go to a dinner party.
Someone brings up a topic you know a little about.
You contribute. The conversation moves on.
You weren't wrong. You just weren't necessary.
Your manager likes you fine. You do the job fine. Your reviews say meets expectations.
A phrase built entirely out of the absence of anything worth writing down.
You start to notice something uncomfortable. It isn't that people ignore you.
It's that you are never the reason a room changes.
You walk in, and the temperature stays exactly where it was, at 100. The world doesn't punish you and doesn't reward you. It just continues, and you continue with it. Both of you indifferent to the other.
Level 4, IQ 110. Something shifts, small at first.
You solve a problem at work faster than the person next to you.
And your manager notices. Not loudly.
Just a glance that lingers half a second longer than usual. You get invited into a meeting you weren't required to attend.
Nobody explains why. You just show up and realize, 20 minutes in, that you are the one they wanted in the room, quietly, without ceremony.
A coworker asked your opinion on something unrelated to your job. You didn't offer it.
They came looking.
It's a small thing.
It happens more than once. You apply for a role above your current one. You get an interview within a week.
The questions are harder this time, and you notice you are not scrambling for the answers. You're choosing which answer to give. The promotion comes through. Nobody throws a party, but your manager starts using your name in meetings you're not in.
You know this because people start repeating
things back to you that you never said directly to them.
At 110, you don't stand out yet, but you've stopped blending in completely.
And the difference is small enough that only you notice it, and large enough that it changes what happens next.
Level 5, IQ 120.
The recruiter finds you.
You didn't apply anywhere. Your name came up in a conversation you weren't part of. Passed between 2 people who both work somewhere you'd like to work.
The interview isn't a test anymore.
It's a negotiation. They want you more than you want a job, and both of you know it.
And neither of you says it out loud because saying it would change the leverage. You get a raise you didn't ask for. Your manager calls it retention,
a word that means they're afraid of losing you before you're afraid of leaving. People start prefacing questions to you differently.
I know you probably already know this, but
It's a small phrase. It carries weight you didn't ask to hold.
you notice, at a dinner party this time,
That when you talk, the room doesn't just continue, it bends slightly toward you.
nobody would call it power. It's smaller than that.
It's just attention, freely given instead of politely extended. At 120, the world starts asking you questions instead of assigning you tasks.
And the shift is quiet enough that you almost miss it.
Level 6, IQ 130. You get headhunted twice in the same year. Companies you've never contacted find your name through people you've never met.
Your reputation is doing work you didn't authorize. You walk into a room and someone says, "This is the person I told you about," before you've said a single word.
You've become a sentence in someone else's conversation, spoken when you're not there to hear it.
The problems people bring you aren't small anymore. They're the ones nobody else could solve.
Handed over with a kind of relief.
Like they've been carrying something heavy and finally found someone to take it. You start noticing something uncomfortable in return. People choose their words around you more carefully, not out of fear exactly.
Out of awareness that you'll notice if they don't.
A friend from years ago, someone who once finished your sentences for you,
Sends a message asking for advice. You answer in 4 lines.
he thanks you like you've handed him something rare.
At 130, you're not competing with the room anymore. The room is quietly trying to keep up, and it doesn't tell you that.
You just feel the pace change.
Level 7, IQ 145. The institutions notice you before you notice them. A university reaches out about a fellowship you never applied to. Someone forwarded your name up a chain you didn't know existed. You sit in a meeting with people twice your age.
And they ask what you think before they say what they think.
The room defers first, speaks second.
You've stopped being evaluated. You've started being consulted. A journalist wants to profile you,
Not because of what you've built yet.
but because of what people assume you're capable of building.
The assumption arrives before the evidence, and it opens doors evidence alone never could.
You notice the isolation before anyone names it for you. Conversations that used to feel effortless now require translation.
Simplifying, softening, editing yourself down so the room doesn't feel the gap. You do it so often you stop noticing you're doing it.
Someone calls you brilliant to your face for the first time.
You don't feel brilliant. You feel like someone standing slightly outside a conversation.
Everyone else thinks you're deeply inside.
At 145, the world stops asking if you belong in the room.
It starts asking what you'll do with it.
Level 8, IQ 160 and above.
You are, statistically, 1 in 10,000. The number stops being a description and starts being a category. People don't talk to you like a person anymore.
They talk to you like a resource.
Institutions don't recruit you. They build accommodations around you. Funding, freedom.
Forgiveness for things they wouldn't forgive in anyone else. Because losing you costs them more than managing you does. You solve something nobody else in the room can solve.
And the silence afterward isn't admiration. It's discomfort.
The particular kind people feel around something they can't fully measure.
You notice you've stopped being corrected.
Nobody pushes back on your ideas anymore. Not because you're always right,
But because disagreeing with you has become socially expensive.
the absence of friction feels, some days, like the loneliest kind of respect.
A researcher wants to study you.
Not employ you, study you.
The way you'd study a variable that doesn't fit the model.
You agree.
You've been the variable your entire life.
You're used to it by now.
Somewhere right now,
Someone is sitting in a classroom scoring 62% on a test.
watching a teacher avoid their eyes.
They don't know yet that the number following them isn't a verdict. It's a starting position.
The gap between who they are and who the number says they are hasn't been decided.
It's still being written, one small moment at a time, by every person who talks a little slower around them without asking why.
You are the same person at every score.
The world just decides how much room to give you based on what's written down.
The number doesn't change you.
It changes what people believe they're allowed to expect from you. And eventually, if you let it,
You start expecting the same thing.